Hello, you fantastic people, and welcome back to Cyberpunk 2077. In this video, I have my first ever character build. It's a pistol build, melee build, as well as craft legendary weapons. All three of those are the main things, and it can do them all really, really well. Pistols do so much damage in this game. You can quite easily hit over 250,000, 500,000 damage, and if you put a little bit more effort than I have, because honestly it is overkill at this point, but I'm sure you can hit 1,000,000 damage pretty damn easily. It's kind of ridiculous how much damage you can get out of them. And melee weapons are just a ton of fun to use. Mantis Plates is my particular favorite. At this point in the game, I can just run into any room, regardless of difficulty, and take on as many enemies as I want. You have so much health regen and armor. You can just take on the world pretty much in Cyberpunk. Regardless of what level you guys are at though, if you're starting brand new fresh character or if you're halfway through, regardless, you can start using this video as a guide of where to spend your skill points, because there are so many different ways to play this game. I'll have some gameplay showing on screen so you guys can see how many different either legendary or iconic pistols there are in this game and how much damage they all do. It's kind of amazing. A lot of them are one dink machines like revolvers. You can just one shot anything and hit crazy damage numbers. Then there's some that are just a ton of fun, super fast fire rate, and you can just mow down packs of enemies. As for melee weapons, I don't use a huge variety of them. There are quite a few in the game, but I primarily use katanas, sometimes a knife, and mostly the Mantis Plates, because you can just always have them on you. I do already have a Mantis Plate guide. If you guys don't know how to get those, I would highly recommend. I'll link that in the description or at the end of the video. I'll also super briefly go over the cyberware that I use in this build. I haven't fully decked that out yet, but I'll just go over the main ones you guys want to aim for, as well as the armor / mods I'm using to make this character super strong in the armor department. And then of course go through the skill tree and which direction I would go first, because there is so many different skill trees. If you're brand new to this game, honestly, it's pretty daunting. You get pretty lost in the skill trees very quickly. But if you guys do take the time or just check out essentially the ones I would recommend to start off with, you can get crazy extra abilities straight off the bat. Starting off with what I think are the best pistols for this build are the Lizzie pistol, the DR12, and the Overture. These are my favorite ones by far, and they can quite easily handle anything in the game. The Overture is practically just a one dinking machine. You can one shot headshot anything in the game, and you can get this very early on all the way through. Of course, you're not going to find a legendary version at the very start, but you can find, greens, blues that all do really good work when you're that lower level. The DR12 is a little bit more rare, but you can definitely get this quite easily. About halfway through the game, you can get a free iconic epic version, and the Lizzie pistol you can get at the very start, and it does so much damage all the way through, and you can just keep upgrading it if you want to keep up with your level. Other weapons I would highly recommend. Skippy is another free iconic epic rarity weapon, and this thing actually scales with your level, which is really good, and does automatic headshots. Ton of fun, would highly recommend that one. Other weapons I have in here that I got anyway just to test out, but that don't do that well. The KO or the A22 doesn't do that well. It does keep up, but the other ones just kind of outshine it. The Chaos, I upgraded this thing from the very start. Maybe if you've got this a little bit more on level, it might keep up, but it's just kind of an average pistol. This power pistol, I'm not going to try to pronounce it because I'll definitely butcher it, but this one is an average pistol, but does a decent amount of damage and looks really cool. Would recommend it if you just want to collect all the pistols. Definitely chuck that one on your list. The pistol that you can get from Johnny Silverhand's missions, I have a guide on the channel already for that one if you want to check out that one. This one, it's a very underleveled. I got it about midway through the game, but if you got it later on, you'll definitely be able to use it for endgame, or if you just want to use it through leveling. It's really cool. It literally shoots fire as its quick melee attack, which is awesome. The Liberty pistol, kind of just an average version of this one, so if you don't have that one, maybe try out the Liberty pistol. The new is pretty much a Deagle from the Call of Duty games, but doesn't pack that much of a punch in this game, unfortunately. It does look cool and sound cool. Hopefully they buff it, but right now it's not really worth using over revolvers that just do so much more damage. For example, the Comrade's Hammer can one-shot everything in this game. If you want to hit 1,000,000 damage or 500,000 damage in this game very easily, the Comrade's Hammer is going to do it. It's ridiculous. It only has one round per magazine, but when it hits for 3,400 to 4,200 per shot, that's pretty damn nice. Up to you guys if you want to get that one. The Nova DR5 is a really good weapon as well. It was pretty much my second go-to weapon just after the Overture. I prefer the Overture, but they're pretty much on the same level, honestly. Just a revolver, pretty decent fire rate, and you can one dink things in the head all throughout your playthrough if you want. We also have the epic version of the DR12, which fires 2 shots instead of 1, but does lower the fire rate a little bit. Very good pistol to get mid playthrough though. And then we also have the RT46, pretty much just a slightly weaker version of the Comrade's Hammer, but definitely still one-shots everything it hits. And just quickly, I'm going to go through the mods I'd recommend for pretty much all the pistols in this build. Starting off with the Overture and the DR12, I chuck on a silencer. You can get any rarity, but blue ones are the best. It does increase your damage by 2.5 times. It's insane when attacking from stealth. Even if you just start a situation out of stealth and then go in guns blazing, it's usually how it works out for me. That's going to do so much damage and only reduces it by 15% overall. 2.5 times minus 15%, it works out pretty well all around, and you can get different rarities if you guys are just starting out. Same with the mods down the bottom, can come in any rarity. I have epic ones now, but I chuck on all of these mods for pretty much all my weapons. The first one being really good. Counter mass eliminates all vertical recoil while aiming. For things like the DR12 or the Lizzie pistol, they have crazy high recoil, but if you chuck on one of these, it immediately takes away their only negatives to the weapon, which is amazing. A pacifier mod, you can increase your critical hit damage by 12% or slightly lower depending on its rarity. And then the crunch mod, this thing is kind of weird. It only shows increased damage of 8. When you have damage numbers like that, it doesn't sound like that's that impressive, but it's actually kind of broken. It doesn't show the right number. It definitely scales as you go up in levels. As you can see at the bottom of the card, it goes up by 108. I think that's collectively. It's very weird. It's very buggy. The game has obviously got a lot of visual bugs at the moment, but it does increase it by way more than 8, and I would highly recommend chucking on 1 or 2 of those depending on your weapon. Now, as for clothing slash armor, as you can see, I have 3200 down the bottom there. That's a pretty decent amount for my character not looking ridiculous. You can bump up your armor a ton by just having mix and match clothes. I personally just go for the mods. They're the main important things. Armadillo mods are the best in the game by far for your clothes because you can increase your armor like crazy. You can get them all throughout the game, different rarities, etc. Epic rarity ones increase by 236 per mod, which is crazy, and they do stack. I have different rarity ones on because I think mine's a little buggy. Unfortunately, they are annoying like that. But as you chuck them on, just check that it is increasing your armor, because as you can see, my mask literally does 504 armor, and I chucked it on my pants, my shoes, my shirt, and my jacket. The only thing that isn't an armadillo mod on my entire outfit is the Fortuna and the Bully. I think I got this around like level 25-ish, so you can find it during your playthrough, but it is a bit more of an end game item. It increases your critical hit chance by 15%, and then your critical damage by 30% for a Bully, which is crazy, crazy good. Increase your damage just by wearing a jacket. There is also a Deadeye mod. These ones do both of that in one mod, and you can find it around about the same time, but is currently broken. It doesn't actually work, unfortunately, so hold on to those. Once they fix them, then chuck them on because they're really good. Right now, it does not work. But yeah, you cannot stack Fortunas, you cannot stack Bullies, so don't chuck on each of your items. Just chuck it on one item and you'll get that bonus. As for cyberware, I'm just going to run through the main things because there's a ton of stuff in here, and I'll cover them all separately once I fully spec it out in a different video. But the main things you guys want to go for is an operating system called a Berserk Mark III, or there's different rarities as you go through the game, but I'm currently up to Epic. It increases your melee damage by 25% when in Berserk mode. It also increases your armor and resistances by 5% for 20 seconds. There's a 30-second cooldown, but that's pretty frequently, honestly, which is pretty nice. You can also add Beast Mode mod to that. I just found this throughout the world, but you can find all this stuff just from Ripperdocs through Night City. But this thing is amazing. Increases armor, resistances, and health regen by 15% when in Berserk mode, and then also increases melee attacks by 100%. That's a total of 125% in that mode for 20 seconds, which is crazy. With Mantis Plates, you just take out an entire room in 20 seconds and there's nothing left standing. Then you add on Sharpened Berserk and it increases your crit damage by 25% as well. That's not just your melee damage, just crit damage across the board. So if you want to use pistols, you can also activate Berserk mode and get those same bonuses. As for hands, you want to get something with Smart Link built into it so you can use the tech weapons in the game. Essentially, Skippy that has automatic headshots won't fire unless you have a Smart Link built in. There's tons of different variations. You can even get a tattoo that has Smart Link built into it, which is pretty awesome. But just get something that has it in there. Tons of different rarities throughout the entire game. The Mantis Plates are my favorite thing by far in the entire game. Like I said at the start, there's a full guide on my channel. I'll link it in the description or at the end of the video. But these things are awesome. You get different elemental types and you just do so much damage with them. It's insane. You can get different elemental types. You can get different mods to increase your attack speed. You can get increased critical hit damage with them. There's tons of different things you can add on to them just to make them so unbelievably strong. As for legs, not necessary, but I absolutely love having reinforced tendons. Essentially, you can double jump in the air, which is awesome. Great for parkour around the city, trying to get through the place, trying to run away from enemies. Double jumping is great in general. As for this side of my cyberware, it is all over the place at the moment. So honestly, just focus on the bottom left at the moment. You want to increase your armor as much as possible. You'll have different rarities as you go through the game. At legendary, you get increased armor of 200%. You can also get stuff that makes you immune to shock, bleeding, I think I have over here. Yep. Thermal, electric damage, and poison, all that stuff. You can find immunity and just pick and choose which one you would like as you go through. You get all of those through Ripperdocs or just looting, and you can spec all this stuff to yourself from Ripperdocs. Alright, now into the skill tree at level 50. At first glance, one main thing is the intelligence thing. I messed that up. Don't put any points into intelligence if you play like me and have no interest in quick hacks. I don't use them at all throughout the game. I made the mistake of putting 3 points in there at the very start. I wouldn't recommend it for this build. It's definitely not needed. If I hadn't done that, I probably would have put the extra 3 in body. So it would be 17, 20, 20, and 11. If you're starting from the start or you haven't spent any of your skill points yet, that's where I would recommend putting them. I'm going to start off in technical ability. That's where I'd recommend putting your points at the start of the game, because you can work your way through crafting items. This is what my skill tree looks like. If you just want to copy that, I'm going to go through the main ones I would recommend, and then if you want a little bit of flexibility from how you play the game, that's totally fine. The main ones in this tree that you guys definitely need if you're going the crafting route is True Craftsman for crafting rare items, Grease Monkey for epic items, and then Edge Runner Artisan for legendary items. That includes weapons, armor, clothing, mods, all of that good stuff. If you have blueprints for it, you can just craft it yourself, allowing you to re-roll what mods or abilities you have on each of your items, and is incredibly cheaper than purchasing it from stores. That's why I recommend doing it from the very start of the game, because during your playthrough, you'll be able to upgrade your items, you'll be able to just craft your items rather than being stuck trying to save up 100,000 points for one weapon during your playthrough. It's crazy too expensive. Other than that, waste not, want not, the one that's kind of hidden behind my webcam. 1 point spent in this. When disassembling an item, you get attached mods back. That's great. Reduce the component cost of upgrading items by 20%. And this one over here, reducing component cost of crafting items by 30%. Both of those are really good because components are also pretty expensive. There's buying items, way too expensive. Crafting items is pretty expensive, but once you have these points in here, it does become pretty reasonable. The rest are pretty much up to you guys. This one's pretty decent, increasing your crafted weapons by 5% damage. That's pretty decent for 1 point. Mechanic, gain more components when disassembling items. Crafted weapons deal 5% more damage again over here, and then allows you to upgrade lower quality components into higher quality ones, which is also great because those legendary components are pricey. Now the second route we're going is the reflexes tree. That's where you get all your handgun and blade damages from. I haven't even fully upgraded these, by the way. As you can see, I still have 10 points over here because we're getting a bunch down the bottom as you upgrade your tree. But these are the main ones you guys want anyway. Honestly, the rest will just be overkill and just for fun abilities pretty much. Starting with pistols though, you get increased crit chance for this ability here. That's fantastic. Gunslinger, honestly, just because I'm impatient and cannot be bothered waiting for a reload. Or if you're using things like a comrade's hammer, which only has 1 round per magazine, you want your reload speed to be a little faster. You can increase your damage over in Desperado. You can also get increased crit damage with a fistful of Eurodollars. This one is fantastic. Grand Finale, last round of a pistol/revolver clip, for example, Comrade's Hammer, 1 round per magazine, deals double damage. That's how you hit crazy numbers like 500,000, sometimes even 1,000,000 I've seen a few clips of. It's a great ability to have. Definitely spec into that one. Long Shot as well as Wild West paired together means you'll have no damage drop off when shooting from a distance. In fact, you actually get 25% more damage when shooting 5+ meters away. When you're in stealth, that happens pretty regularly, so it's definitely worth specking that if you like playing a bit more stealth. Rio Bravo, increasing damage multiplier by 30% is very nice. Artificial Fire, when you're firing consecutive hits into the same enemy, you're getting increased damage. Not very necessary for things like the Comrade's Hammer or the Overture. You're going to be one-shotting with those, but if you have like the Lizzie pistol or the DR12 and it's more high fire rate damage, that's when that'll come into play. Then you also have over on the left-hand side, after a successful headshot with a pistol/revolver, increased crit chance by 25% for 5 seconds. So if you just want to keep one dinking everything in the room, that'll help out that as well. Now moving over to blades. This one, there's actually only a few abilities that are the main ones, and then the rest are just up to you if you want to spec into them. This one is by far my favorite in this tree. When wielding a blade, defeating an enemy restores 20% health. It increases your movement speed by 30% for 5 seconds. So you can just run in enemy by enemy, restoring your own health and just tanking all the damage. And that's just for 1 point. You have other health regen in the trees elsewhere, and that essentially makes you immortal when wielding a blade, which is awesome. We also have Flight of the Sparrow, reduces your stamina cost of all attacks with blades by 50% for just 2 points. That's really, really nice because at the start of the game, blades take a lot of your stamina and you usually just stood there, stuck, out of energy, and things are shooting you from a distance. Reducing that stamina cost is very nice. Slow and steady, armor increased by 30% while moving, which is great because you're just running at things and you're being able to take more shots. Offensive defense originally didn't actually sound that good. Defensive attacks with blades deal 300% more damage for 2 points. I don't usually use defensive attacks, but that actually includes your hold or charged or strong attack, whatever you want to call it. Whenever you hold your trigger with a blade or your Mantis Plates, that extra strong attack is getting that 300% bonus as well, which is crazy, crazy good. That's also paired with, strong attacks with blades deal 50% more damage. That's also inclusive of that. Clearly, this one's way cheaper. Not sure if it's actually supposed to do that, but it does currently. So if you pair those two together, you're going to get a ton of extra damage for those strong attacks. Sting Like a Bee, increase attack speed with blades by 30%. That's really good, particularly for Mantis Blades. You're able to just keep going at enemies and just big packs of them. Blessed Blade, increased crit chance by 20% with blades. Also a good little pickup there. Increased damage with blades by 100% against enemies with max health, allowing you to just one-shot things with blades, which is awesome. Then over to body. Like I said, if you guys didn't make the mistake like I did at the start, I generally would just leave 3 in intelligence and have 17 up in body. It's really good for being able to steal cars, open doors, and just have other abilities in the game. Plus, we get some nice health regen whilst in combat via here. We also get melee damage by 20% just casually in the body tree, which is awesome by me. Get increased carrying capacity. I'm up to 512 at level 50, which is very, very nice. Being able to carry whatever weapons or mods I want. True Grit increases max stamina by 30%, which is again great for melee builds when you're just running at enemies all the time. Over to the far right, sprinting does not drain stamina. This is fantastic for me. I'm a very impatient person. I don't want to just walk a really long distance. So particularly maybe at the start of the game, you haven't got any cars or whatever situation. If you're running a long distance in a mission, this is fantastic. You can just sprint forever and you're never going to run out of stamina. Invincible, increase max health by 30%. Pretty much a no-brainer. It's just great to have more health. Allows you to reload while sprinting, sliding, and bolting. This is great. I honestly didn't know this for way too long in the game, and reload cancelling by sprinting is so irritating. So chuck in a point there and that will be all done for you. Like I said, intelligence, I haven't actually spent any in here, so there's no points in this tree. But over in the cool tree, we have stealth and cold blood. Stealth, personally not my favorite way to play the game, but I generally start out my fights in stealth, and then when I get caught, I just go out guns blazing. So these points are all I've spent in this tree. Deal 15% more damage to human enemies, just that's fantastic all around. Silent and deadly, increased damage dealt by silenced weapons like my Overture and my DR5 by 25% while sneaking, just an extra little bonus there. And then sniper is actually really good, increased damage from headshots fired from outside combat. So if the enemy hasn't seen you yet, if you're at the start, if you're using snipers, if you're using silenced pistols, you're getting extra 50% damage to headshots, allowing you to one-dink anything in the game. Then over to Cold Blood. This one's actually a pretty decent tree. I can actually chuck an extra 2 points in here as well, actually. Cold Blood is essentially the center of the tree. After defeating an enemy, gain Cold Blood for 10 seconds. That increases your movement speed by 2% and stacks up to 3 times, so 6% total. Then you add on extra abilities as you go. Increase health regen inside and outside of combat by 100% per stack of Cold Blood. At 3 stacks, you got 300% health regen inside and outside of combat. That's really, really good. Increase headshot damage by 50%. That's just flat. That's not to do with Cold Blood. You just instantly have more headshot damage, which is fantastic for any build. Defensive clotting, increase armor by 20% per stack of Cold Blood. So 3 stacks total, you got 60% extra armor. Then we have critical condition, increasing the duration of Cold Blood by 10 seconds. A total of 20 seconds. Now you're having all of these abilities, including the final one, Will to Survive, increasing all resistances by 5% per stack of cold blood. So total 3, you're going to have 15% resistance. But you can also chuck it in here as well if you want for more max stacks. Depends how quickly you think you're taking out enemies in this game, but you can have an extra stack if you would like to spend this point in there as well. Also, as you guys can see, my skill progression down the bottom there isn't actually fully maxed out yet. Still on level 6, which means I can get more perk points, and so will you, into these trees as you level them up. So you guys will be able to personalize the build a little bit more as well. For handguns, melee damage, and crafting weapons, it's fully spec'd out as much as I would. But for example, you can get interesting abilities like takedowns and having throwing knives and stuff like that as you level up your character even more. And that is my entire Cyberpunk 2077 build. I really hope you guys found the video helpful or enjoyable. If you did, don't forget to smash subscribe down below. It's totally free, helps me a ton. If you guys have any questions or suggestions for the build, let me know down below in the comment section and or our Discord. I'd honestly love to hear it. And other than that, we have a Twitch we stream to every night, and I also have a Twitter, also linked down below. I'll see you guys in the next video and a live stream. Till then, adios.